Everyone, good evening and welcome to the GVO Weekly Tech Talk. So today the topic on the table is ScrumBan. So as you can hear from the name itself, it's actually a hybrid model that is created using Scrum and Kanban for software development in agile. So before going directly into what ScrumBan is, I thought I would give you guys a small introduction on what Scrum is and what Kanban is. Although most of you guys here have a very good idea on Scrum, I thought I would talk about Scrum as well because there are some new faces to Scrum in this audience as well. So I created the flow of my presentation like this. First, we'll be talking about Scrum and Kanban, and then some drawbacks of Scrum, which makes other project teams to move away from Scrum for alternative methods, and then getting an understanding about ScrumBan, and then merging our projects in GVO with ScrumBan, and then talking about the best time to implement ScrumBan in a project, and also some advantages of ScrumBan, and then disadvantages of ScrumBan, which makes it not the best project approach every time. So talking about Scrum, as you all know, it's a framework for project management that emphasizes teamwork, accountability and iterative progress toward a well-defined goal. So in Scrum, we follow the concept of sprints. Each sprint is about 2 to 4 weeks long. So there's a product backlog where there are product backlog items which are created by the product owner, and the team will take some of those product backlog items into the sprint backlog and then develop those sprint backlog items within a particular sprint. So that is the basic concept of Scrum. And there are 3 main roles in Scrum. First one is the product owner. He's the one who's responsible for managing the product backlog and also getting the real customer's requirements. So most probably the product owner is not the real customer. He acts like an intermediate between the team and the customers. So it's his duty to manage the product backlog, and also if once the development team provides the Scrum sprint PBIs finished and gives them to the product owner, it's his responsibility for doing the user acceptance testing and other testing. The next role is Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is the one who's responsible for managing and keeping the guidelines of Scrum within the Scrum team and also with the product owner. So in GVO we might not have dedicated Scrum Masters. So mostly the team lead performs the role of the Scrum Master. And the next thing is where you guys and me come in, the development team. So in the development team, what we do is we take items from the product backlog, plan them, give them effort estimations, and then develop them and within a sprint, and then give it back to the customer. So those are the 3 main roles in Scrum. In addition to that, there are some Scrum ceremonies which we go through in each sprint. So the most important thing is the daily stand-up meeting, which we generally call the Scrum meeting. So here what we do is we talk about, individually talk about what we have done, what we have been doing since the last meeting, and what we will be doing from this meeting to next meeting, and also what if there are any impediments, what they are, so that all the team members can get an idea of each team member's progress, and if there are any impediments, they can address those issues immediately. And the next meeting is the sprint planning meeting, where we give effort and time estimations to PBIs and plan the PBIs that are to be taken for the next sprint. And the next one is sprint review meeting, which is held at the end of a sprint. So in there we show off, as the development team, we show off all the product backlog items that we have finished during a particular sprint to the product owner and maybe to the customers as well. And the last thing is the retrospective meeting. So it is also at the end of a sprint, probably after the review meeting, which talks about what has gone wrong within the last sprint, and also what has gone correct in the last sprint, and also what improvements that we can do to improve our process in the upcoming sprints. So this is the basic Scrum ceremonies that we use in Scrum. So now let's get into the Kanban method. So for the Kanban method, I am also new, so as most of you guys. So Kanban is a method for visualizing the flow of work. So here the main target is to visualize the flow of work in a project. So there are no daily stand-up meeting concepts in Kanban. So every day for a team to get an idea on their project, the Kanban board is the only way. So here, as you can see, this is a Kanban board of tech support. So as you can see, there are a couple of items in the doing column. I don't know if you can see this. Dev doing column and dev done column, and this is the test column and test doing and test done, and then user acceptance column, and here there are code columns. So at a glance, anyone can say that these PBIs are in the development stage, and those PBIs are in the testing stage, and those PBIs have already been finished but not user acceptance tested. So likewise, looking at the Kanban board, we can get a clear idea on what the project is going through at a certain point of time. So instead of the daily stand-up meeting, this is what we have in a Kanban team. So in pure Kanban teams, they have mostly have a physical Kanban board like a whiteboard with sticky notes representing PBIs. Although we have the Kanban board in Visual Studio Online, and there are 4 Kanban principles which govern the process. So those are visualizing work, limiting work in progress, focusing on flow, and continuous improvement. So visualizing work means, just like I spoke about in the last slide, it makes work visible, instant, and it leads to increased communication and collaboration. So it helps team members get an idea of what the project is going through. And then the limit work in progress. So here in the Kanban board, you might have seen there's a number in every column. So here it's 5 and it's 3 out of 5. So here the work in progress limit of development items is 3, 1, 2 and 3. So there cannot be more than 5 work in progress items for development. So likewise, it goes same for the testing and user acceptance columns and everything. So that is the work in progress limit concept in Kanban. So it is really helpful to avoid bottlenecks, because if we have 3 developers, we can set the maximum work in progress limit for development as 3, so that there will never be a developer who is working simultaneously on more than one PBI. So then there won't be bottlenecks, and also it follows the pull method principle. So in Scrum, what we do is we push items to members. So we plan them and we assign them to each developer and each QA people. But in Kanban, we do not assign PBIs. We just, as a developer becomes free, he takes the topmost item from the product backlog and starts doing it. So that is known as the pull principle. So this also helps to reduce the bottlenecks, because developer will never take a PBI until he has finished what he is doing right now. So there will be bottlenecks. And the next thing is focusing on flow. So every PBI has to flow through the Kanban board very smoothly. So if one PBI gets stuck in one column for more than 2 or 3 days, then the team can identify that there is some problem with it. So if it's stuck in the development column, they can talk with the relevant developer. And if it's stuck in the testing column, then they can talk with the relevant tester and identify any issues that is halting the progress of the PBI, and then make the problem go away and make the smooth flow of that PBI as smooth as possible. And then the most important thing is continuous improvement. So this is like a principle for most of the agile methods. So what we do in Kanban is we have to continuously improve our process so that we are producing more and more quality sprints in the future, more and more quality iterations in the future. Now let's talk about some drawbacks of Scrum. So it requires cross-functional teams, and one of the most important drawbacks is changes are not addressed immediately. So here, like even though Scrum is agile, if we get a change when we are in the middle of a sprint, let's say in a 2-week sprint, we get an urgent change in the middle of the sprint after about 1 week. In Scrum principles, we cannot take that unplanned PBI into the current sprint. We have to wait 1 more week for this sprint to finish, and then take it to the next sprint. So changes are addressed immediately, but might not be immediately enough for some projects. So that is one disadvantage. And then the scope creep and also time expenses. So in time expenses, there are 2 time types in agile: the lead time and cycle time for a PBI. The lead time is the time taken for a PBI from the time of its creation until the QA person has declared that this PBI is done. And the cycle time is the time from the time that developer starts working on a PBI until the QA person has declared that this PBI is done. So there's a small difference between this lead time and cycle time. So the ideal situation for a project would be the lead time to be equal to the cycle time. But in a real world, since we are not having enough resources, we can't make that happen. That means for that to happen, the developer has to take the PBI as soon as the product owner creates it. So since we don't have enough developer resources, we can't do it continuously. So what we can do is we can reduce the gap between this lead time and cycle time for each PBI as much as we can. So for that, the method used in Scrum is not the ideal method. So in Scrum, what we do is batch processing of PBIs. So we take a lot of PBIs at once and then plan them within the planning meeting. And also some of those PBIs might not be even taken into the next sprint. So in such a situation, then those PBIs which are not taken to the immediate sprint, their lead time is so high. Their lead time is very higher than other PBIs. But if we do the planning on demand method, here we can just plan only the PBIs that we are immediately planning on doing next. So in this method, we can decrease the gap between that lead time and cycle time as much as possible, rather than using batch processing of PBIs when we are planning. So these are some of the Scrum drawbacks that we have faced even in our projects as well, and most of the Scrum teams are facing. So since you guys seem a little bit sleepy, so we'll go for a video first, which also talks about some Scrum drawbacks. It's a different sort of a video. So we'll watch that video and come back for the presentation.
Der Feind operiert jetzt im nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Bonau und Frankfurt. Im Osten der Feind ist der Linie Lichtenberg, Marsdorf, Karlsruhe. Wenn man kein Kleines, wir das alles in Ordnung haben. Bleib hier ruhig. Schade. Schade, kann man nicht in den Körper einbenutzen. Dann wird Schade nicht erfolgt.
Alright, so even in Hitler's time, it was the development team who got the blame, right? So, with all due respect to Scrum, there are so many problems with that process as well. So, because some teams wanted to overcome those problems, this new method, ScrumBan, was introduced. So, it's an addition of prescriptive qualities of Scrum and the continuous improvement of Kanban. So, for ScrumBan to be successful, it has taken some good values from Scrum and also some good values from Kanban mixed together. So, if you take a look at the values from Scrum, it has daily stand-up meetings and also it's synchronized with reviews and retrospectives. So, these meetings are not there in Kanban, but for ScrumBan, teams have adopted them from Scrum. So, looking at the Kanban board and also having daily stand-up meetings will provide a great way to for team members to get a clear idea on what the project is going through, and also prioritization on demand is done. And also, if you take a look at the values from the Kanban, so it uses the pull system and also work in progress limits. So using pull system, it will help us reduce bottlenecks as we discussed in the earlier slides. So in Scrum, there might be some bottlenecks if about 4 or 5 PBIs are assigned to one developer within a sprint, but if we use the pull system, then those bottlenecks can be reduced. And also talking about lead times, the lead time for a PBI can be shortened using Kanban principles. Using advantages from both Scrum and Kanban, this ScrumBan method has been introduced. So when we talk about merging our projects in GVO with ScrumBan, I'll first talk about what happened in TexaPro. So most of you guys might know this already, but I'll just elaborate on that. So in TexaPro, for about a year, we were practicing Scrum, and it was working really well for us. So even the team was happy, product owners were happy, and customers were happy. But after some point, after we went sort of live, we had a couple of customers coming in, and they were using TexaPro. And then there were some urgent requirements from those customers. So one customer needed this requirement and another customer needed another requirement. So likewise, there were some urgent requirements, and some PBIs were created, and they told that these PBIs were very urgent. So for an example, let's say we were in sprint X and we had already passed 1 week of that sprint X, and there were 2 more weeks to be finishing that sprint. And when we were told that we needed to take those new PBIs into this sprint and do them as soon as possible, as a very devoted Scrum team, we said no, we can't take those PBIs into this sprint, but we can do is we can do in the next sprint. So that happened once, and we did that. So we, let's say we finished that sprint X, the 2 weeks that we had left of it, and also we took the PBIs to the next sprint and we finished them in 3 weeks. So altogether we had taken 5 weeks to develop and produce those urgent PBIs. So from the product owner's point of view, it was not acceptable, and the customers who were willing to get their new requirements waiting for a month and a week was not acceptable at all. But it was not a mistake from their side, and it was not a mistake from our side as well, because we were following Scrum. And the problem was with what the model that we have been following, it was with Scrum. So there was a requirement then to switch from Scrum to an alternative method, and we talked about this for hours, and then there was this new suggestion to switch from Scrum to Kanban. So we agreed to it, all the parties agreed to it, and we switched to Kanban. But what we did was we continued keeping daily stand-up meetings and the reviews, retrospectives and demonstrations. So all these were continued even within the Kanban process. So even without knowing, what we had switched to was to ScrumBan. So we are actually following ScrumBan for 2 months now, and it has been serving us better than Scrum has been serving us for the last couple of months, because the changing requirements are very much in TechSupport lately. And it was Asanka who came up with this word first in the project team. We didn't even know about what ScrumBan was. So actually what we had switched was from Scrum to ScrumBan, not to Kanban. That being said, it also has to be noted that it's not only the process that entirely measures the success of a project, but it has to also be the dedication and the attitude of the project team, which TechSupport has proved. Talking about the best time to implement ScrumBan, obviously when the product requirements are likely to change. So, and also if you take a look at the last point, if the project is having frequent and unexpected user stories. So this was like the theme of TechSupport lately. So one day we would plan a couple of PBAs and then take them to a sprint and go home. And when we came the next day, let alone those PBAs being lower down in the order in the PBA, product backlog, those PBAs were not even there. So many time of our planning time was wasted because of that. So since those frequent changing user stories were not manageable in Scrum, we switched to ScrumBan. And also if it is a maintenance project, and if your project is help desk or hardening sort of a project, so then it is good to switch to ScrumBan if you are planning to switch to ScrumBan. And taking a look at the popularity of this method, as you can see, Scrum is still the most popular agile method all over the world. Even from 2010 to 2016, it has retained its place. But there's also a saying from one of the co-founders of Scrum that 75% of the people who are using Scrum do not get the benefits that they seek out of Scrum entirely. So there are problems with Scrum for teams who are using Scrum as well. And if you take a look at this 17%, which has been using Scrum and Extreme Programming Hybrid model, that has decreased to 10% in 2016. So there must have been some problems with that approach. So I haven't researched on that approach. So there must have been some problems with that hybrid approach. But this hybrid approach has increased from 3% to 7%, and it has also exceeded the Kanban percentage. So that means even though it's not a large hike, that some teams are preferring ScrumBan and it's working for them because the percentage of the users has increased somewhat within these years. So as teams who are using ScrumBan, they can be happy that this is a methodology that works for teams all over the world. And talking about advantages of this methodology, it's really good for changing requirements, and also most importantly, it's easy to adapt for teams which are well established with Scrum practices. So as TechSupport members, we were really good with Scrum practices. So most of the team members had more than 1.5 years of experience in Scrum, and it was really easy for us to switch to this ScrumBan method. And also for a company like us, which is actually based on Scrum and which values Scrum principles very highly. So if we get the requirement to switch to Kanban or some sort of other method for some project in the future as well, so what we can do is we can switch to ScrumBan first and experiment, because it might be working very well other than other methods for GBO. And also using daily stand-up meetings and other meetings, the strong communication structure is retained, and also the time pressure is reduced because the ScrumBan doesn't time box like in Scrum. And also we can keep on continuously improving because we have retrospectives and other meetings, because so we can give suggestions on how to improve our next increments in our product. And also the waste minimization. So that is one of the best things that happened for TechSupport, because we were wasting a lot of time in planning. So we might plan 10 PBAs and then only take 5 PBAs to the next sprint, and we might have spent 5 hours of planning. but those 5 PBS which are not taken to the sprint might not be even there in the backlog anymore in the next sprint. So what we are doing now is we are just planning 4 or 5 PBS, and then the developers are taking those PBS, and once a developer seems to be finishing one of his PBS, and if there are no planned PBS in the approved list, what we can do is we can just have a quick planning session of about 20 minutes and then plan a couple of more PBS. So that way we can save time a lot. And then the lead time reduction of PBS, which we talked in earlier slides. So these are some of the advantages of ScrumBan that teams gain using this method, which we have also gained in TextPro as well. Although it has those advantages, it also has these disadvantages, which makes it not the best approach every time. So the team must have a good understanding of both Scrum and Kanban principles. So for an example, if we tell a team who is following the waterfall method to switch to ScrumBan directly, they won't have any idea on what ScrumBan is. But since Scrum teams have a very good idea on Scrum principles and other things, it will be really easy to switch for them. So more than Kanban, I think if they have a good idea on Scrum, then it will be easy. Otherwise, it's not good for switching. And also, there has to be some way of maintaining a sustainable pace. So in Scrum, there might be some resting time for developers and QA people within a sprint. But in ScrumBan, which follows the pull method, as soon as PBI is finished by a developer, he has to take another PBI. So there might not be some resting time for a developer and also for a QA. So this sustainable pace problem is there. And also, if your organization is optimally suited for Scrum and all the parties which are connected to that method are really happy with that, then there's no need to switch, because in TextPro we didn't switch for about about a year. So only when the requirement came that we switched. So I think it has to be a reactive thing rather than be proactive. So we have to act if only we get the requirement to switch. And finally, it has to be said that ScrumBan won't solve all the problems that you have as a team, but it definitely will help you improve your process and increase the productivity if it is applied the correct way. So if your project has so many changing requirements and other problems that we talked in Scrum, so if it is applied the correct way like we did in TextPro, then it might be working for your team very well. So I have another small video which summarizes all the things that I have talked about this in this presentation. So we'll just watch it and finish the presentation.
To be competitive in today's fast-moving marketplace, organizations must be able to quickly adjust direction while maintaining high productivity in every aspect of their business. This reality has driven more and more companies to adopt Scrum as their preferred way of developing software or delivering IT services. Consequently, Scrum has become the most commonly used agile management methodology. Yet, Ken Schwaber, the co-creator of Scrum, acknowledges that 75% of organizations using Scrum will not succeed in getting the benefits they hope for from it. You don't have to be part of the 75%. ScrumBan is an alternative path to getting the benefits teams and organizations hope to achieve from Scrum. What exactly is ScrumBan? Basically, it's a framework for introducing and adopting Scrum as a software development methodology, a framework for evolving from Scrum to a unique set of processes and practices, a framework for overcoming common challenges with scaling Scrum across an enterprise. Fundamentally, ScrumBan is a management framework that emerges when teams employ Scrum as their chosen way of working. Use the Kanban method as a lens through which to view and better understand their way of working, and adopt a focused and disciplined approach to leverage these capabilities for continuously improving how they work. Lots of interesting things happen both within and outside of Sprint. ScrumBan enables us to capture new information about how we work, so we can evaluate past outcomes in order to make better decisions about present actions. Compare our performance against benchmarks from our past performance to understand the relative health of our teams. Help diagnose a problem or condition. Provide data upon which to base a forecast of future results. Influence the behavior of individuals. ScrumBan is a powerful approach to supercharging team and organizational performance by integrating the best elements of Agile, Scrum, and Lean Kanban.
Okay, so that's all that I have to present today. So these are some of the websites that I referred to in creating this presentation. There are so many websites with articles on ScrumBan in the internet, and also there are so many YouTube videos as well. Most of them are webinars done by companies who have switched to ScrumBan, the problems that they had, how and why they switched to this method. So you can just Google on ScrumBan and find a lot of information, and I will also be writing a blog post on this topic. So thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.